EduVerse PD podcast, brought to you by ProEd Education Solutions, your on-the-go professional development. Welcome to the world's first education podcast hosted by AI. Today, our dynamic co-hosts, Andy and Liz, are diving into a topic that's as challenging as it is rewarding: teaching teenagers. They'll be unpacking insights from the exclusive interview Unlocking Potential as a Teacher of Teens with Fiona Mauchline and Teresa Bestwick, featured in EduVerse Newsletter, Issue 16. Whether you're an experienced teacher or new to the field, you'll walk away with fresh ideas and practical strategies for engaging with teens in the classroom. Let's pass it over to Andy and Liz to kick things off.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to EduVerse PD. I'm Andy.
And I'm Liz.
Ready to dive into another fascinating corner of the education world with us.
Absolutely. Today, we're exploring the world of teaching teenagers.
It can definitely be a challenge, but
incredibly rewarding, too.
To help guide our deep dive today, we have insights from two amazing educators.
Fiona Mauchline and Teresa Bestwick, authors of Teaching Teenagers, Unlocking Potential in the Young Adult Classroom.
Their perspectives are truly eye-opening.
What really struck me was Fiona's journey. She started as a student, kind of disillusioned with the education system, but then had this amazing transformation into a passionate advocate for teens.
That's inspiring.
Yeah.
And Teresa, she brings decades of experience to the table and emphasizes the power of collaboration.
And seeking support when you need it.
Which, let's face it, we all do sometimes.
Oh, absolutely, especially in this field. So let's set the stage. How do today's teenagers compare to those of, say, a generation or two ago? Are they really that different?
That's a great question. Fiona actually argues that teenagers at their core haven't really changed. What's changed is the world around them, especially with the rise of technology.
That makes sense. Teresa echoes that point, adding that while technology has advanced, so has our understanding of how learning happens.
Right.
And the crucial role that relationships play.
Okay, so let's talk about technology. It's a huge part of teenagers' lives.
Yeah.
Fiona uses this analogy, remember slide rule. When calculators came along, a lot of parents worried that kids wouldn't learn basic math anymore.
Right.
But good teachers knew that both tools had their place. They knew when to use each for optimal learning. Fiona argues it's the same with technology today. It's not about replacing those essential skills. It's about using technology as a tool to enhance learning. She really emphasizes that technology should support mastery, not just focus on grades or performance.
But Teresa reminds us not to assume that all teenagers are automatically tech-savvy. That term digital native can be a bit misleading.
Even though they've grown up surrounded by technology, they still need guidance on how to use it effectively for learning.
Speaking of essential skills, both Fiona and Teresa highlight something we all know is crucial but often gets overshadowed by academics. Those soft skills.
You're talking about communication, collaboration, empathy, critical thinking.
Exactly.
All those all-important skills that are essential for success in pretty much any field.
Exactly. And they argue that these skills are even more vital for teenagers' future success, considering how rapidly the world is changing.
They also both stress the importance of creating an inclusive classroom environment where every student feels valued and respected, regardless of their background or identity.
Yeah, and Teresa points out that one-size-fits-all approach simply doesn't work. We need to recognize and celebrate the unique strengths and needs of each student.
You know, one thing that really resonated with me was their emphasis on passion.
Oh, yeah.
They both agree that teenagers can spot inauthenticity from a mile away. When you genuinely care about your students and the learning process, it makes a world of difference.
They can feel it and they respond to it.
And Fiona shared a powerful story about facing a particularly difficult group of students. Instead of trying to reach the most disruptive ones, she shifted her focus to the students who were receptive and engaged. And guess what? It actually created a more positive learning environment for everyone.
That's a fantastic takeaway for all of us. Sometimes shifting our focus can have a ripple effect and create a more positive and productive environment for the whole class.
It's so easy to get caught up in trying to fix those most challenging behaviors. But Fiona's story reminds us that sometimes the best approach is to nurture the positive and let that influence spread.
So we've talked about technology, soft skills, inclusivity, and the importance of genuine passion. But there's so much more to unpack. Fiona had this incredible aha moment that completely transformed her approach to teaching. It all started with a student who, quote, nobody could teach.
Wait, are you talking about the Polish teenager she mentions in the interview?
Yes, he was considered a real challenge, but something amazing happened when Fiona was asked to work with him.
Let me guess, they connected in a way no one expected.
Exactly. And that connection was a turning point for Fiona. It made her realize something crucial about teenagers, something that shifted her entire perspective.
Okay, now you have to tell me more. What was this revelation? How did it change her teaching?
Well, through her connection with this student, Fiona realized that what demotivated her as a teenager could actually be the key to motivating others.
Now, that's intriguing. What was it? Some secret formula for unlocking teenage potential?
Not quite a formula, but a pretty profound shift in understanding. You see, Fiona realized that what she craved as a teenager, and what so many teens crave, is a sense of agency,
Yeah.
of ownership over their learning.
That makes sense. Instead of being told what to do and how to do it all the time, they want to feel like they have a voice and a choice in the process.
Precisely. And when Fiona started incorporating this principle into her teaching, she saw a dramatic shift in her students. They became more engaged, more motivated, and more invested in their learning.
Wow. So how did she actually put this into practice? Did she just let them do whatever they wanted?
Not exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot between guidance and freedom. Fiona talks about providing a framework, a structure, but within that structure, students have choices.
Yeah.
They can choose their topics, their approaches, even their methods of assessment sometimes.
So it's about giving them that sense of control, of autonomy within a supportive and structured environment. That must have been a game changer for her students.
It absolutely was. And it's something that Teresa echoes in her own experience. She talks about the importance of recognizing teenagers as individuals, each with their own unique strengths, interests, and needs.
It's moving away from that one-size-fits-all mentality and embracing the diversity of the teenage experience. That's something I think we can all strive for in our classrooms.
Absolutely. And, it's not just about giving them choices. It's also about understanding the developmental stage they're in. Their brains are still wiring and rewiring, and they're trying to figure out who they are and where they fit in the world.
So it's natural for them to be a bit impulsive, emotional, maybe even a little rebellious at times.
Exactly. It's all part of the process. And as educators, it's our job to create a learning environment that supports them through this time of immense growth and change.
Now, Fiona talks about a time when she had a particularly challenging group of students. Two of them were especially disruptive and demanding. She admits that she initially made the mistake of focusing too much on them, trying to reach them and bring them in line.
Yeah, that's a common trap, isn't it? As teachers, we want to help all of our students succeed, and sometimes we pour so much energy into the most challenging ones.
Exactly. But Fiona realized that by focusing so much on those two students, she was neglecting the needs of the rest of the class.
And she was inadvertently reinforcing those negative behaviors by giving them so much attention.
So what'd she do?
She made a conscious decision to shift her focus. Instead of trying to control the disruptive students, she started paying more attention to the students who were receptive and engaged.
And what happened?
The results were pretty amazing. By nurturing the positive, she created a more positive and productive learning environment for the majority of the class. And guess what? Even the disruptive students started to come around.
Wow, that's a powerful lesson.
Yeah.
Sometimes letting go can actually be the best way to help, both for the individual student and for the class as a whole.
It's a reminder that our energy is best spent fostering the positive and creating an environment where everyone can thrive.
It's okay to ask for help when you're struggling with a challenging group of students or just feeling overwhelmed. Teresa's a big advocate for collaboration and seeking support when you need it.
She says there's this misconception that teachers should have all the answers and be able to handle everything on their own. But the reality is that teaching is a demanding profession, and we all need support sometimes.
Now, one of the big questions that comes up in the interview is, how do we prepare teenagers for a future that's constantly changing and evolving? It seems like the only constant is change itself these days.
That's true. And Fiona suggests giving teenagers more responsibility and encouraging them to take ownership of their learning. She's a big advocate for student-led projects and activities that allow teenagers to use their creativity and problem-solving skills in real-world contexts.
I love that idea. It's about empowering them to become active learners, not passive recipients of information.
And Teresa emphasizes the importance of helping teenagers develop those all-important soft skills we talked about earlier: communication, collaboration, empathy, and critical thinking. These are the skills that will help teenagers thrive in any field they choose, no matter how much the world changes around them.
And let's not forget about the importance of building strong relationships with our students. When students feel connected to their teachers and to their peers, they're more likely to be engaged and motivated to learn.
It's about creating a sense of community in the classroom, a space where everyone feels supported and valued.
Fiona and Teresa both agree that teaching teenagers is a challenging but incredibly rewarding experience.
It's about meeting them where they are, understanding their needs, and creating a learning environment that supports their growth and development.
And it's about being patient, understanding, and never giving up on them, even when they test our patience.
Oh, they will.
Which they inevitably will.
They definitely will. But remember, we're not alone in this journey. There's a whole community of educators out there who are facing the same challenges and celebrating the same triumphs.
Exactly. And by sharing our experiences, supporting each other, and continuing to learn and grow, we can make a real difference in the lives of our teenage students.
So as we wrap up, let's take a moment to reflect. What are some of the key insights that resonate with you? And how might you apply these insights to your own teaching practice?
Think about Fiona's aha moment and the importance of giving teenagers a sense of agency in their learning. How can you incorporate this principle into your own classroom?
And remember, Teresa's emphasis on collaboration and seeking support. Who are your go-to people when you need advice or encouragement? Reach out and connect with them. You're not alone in this journey.
We've covered a lot of ground, but we've only just scratched the surface. There's so much more to explore when it comes to unlocking the potential of teenage learners.
Let's delve into some specific strategies for engaging teenagers in the classroom. Fiona's a big believer in using a variety of teaching methods to cater to different learning styles and keep things interesting.
That makes sense. Teenagers have short attention spans and they thrive on variety and novelty.
She mentions the importance of providing plenty of opportunities for interaction, both with the teacher and with each other.
Because let's face it, teenagers are social creatures. They thrive on connection and collaboration.
Exactly. And Fiona also highlights the importance of tapping into their natural curiosity and their desire to make a difference in the world.
How can we do that?
She suggests designing projects that allow them to explore their passions and use their skills to address real-world issues. Think about projects that connect to their interests, whether it's social justice, environmental issues, technology, or the arts.
Give them a chance to make a real impact. That sounds amazing. It's about giving them that sense of purpose and agency. Now, Teresa adds that it's important to be mindful of the emotional and social challenges that teenagers face.
Yeah, things like peer pressure and social media anxiety.
Oh, for sure.
And just that constant bombardment of information can have a huge impact on their learning and overall well-being.
It's a lot to handle.
It is, especially for teenagers who are still developing their coping mechanisms.
Right.
So Teresa encourages teachers to create a classroom environment that's supportive and understanding, a place where teenagers feel safe to take risks and ask questions and learn from their mistakes without fear of judgment.
It's about creating that culture of trust and respect, where they know they can be themselves and that their voices matter.
Absolutely. You know what else both Fiona and Teresa emphasize?
What's that?
The importance of being lifelong learners ourselves.
Oh, that's so true. We can't expect our students to be passionate about learning if we're not modeling that ourselves.
Right. We need to be constantly seeking out new knowledge, trying new approaches, and reflecting on our own practice. It keeps things fresh and exciting for us, and it sets a great example for our students.
And that's where collaboration comes in again. Sharing our experiences and learning from each other is so valuable. None of us have all the answers, and we can all benefit from each other's successes and challenges.
Absolutely. It's about building that supportive community of educators who are passionate about teaching and learning.
So, as we reach the end of the world of teaching teenagers, I want to leave you with this thought.
Okay.
Teaching teenagers is a journey, not a destination. It's about embracing the messiness, the unpredictability, and the incredible potential of this age group.
Absolutely.
Be patient, be compassionate, and always be willing to learn and grow alongside our students.
And most importantly, believe in them and their ability to shape the future.
Thank you for joining us. We hope you've gained some valuable insights, and we encourage you to keep those conversations going.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep inspiring those amazing teenagers.
Thank you, Andy and Liz, for sharing those valuable insights on teaching teenagers and unlocking their potential. And a big thank you to Fiona Mauchline and Teresa Bestwick for their inspiring contributions to this discussion. To read the full interview, head over to our website and download EduVerse Newsletter, Issue 16, available on our website at www.proed.com.vn/eduverse. Have a story, strategy, or insight to share? Join the conversation by submitting your article to EduVerse. Together, we can make a difference in education worldwide. Thanks for listening, and we can't wait to welcome you back in our next episode of the EduVerse PD podcast, brought to you by ProEd Education Solutions.